So what am I doing today? Well, first off, we see the new to me 990 is sitting inside the shop. But why is it inside the shop? Well, we're taking advantage of the fact that for the first time in my life, we finally have an open bay in here where we can work on stuff. So I brought it in here because, see that right there? See all that fuel mess and everything's wet under there on the frame? That's because this freaking fuel pump is leaking and I tore it apart, and we tried to reseal it up, but that didn't work. So I said screw it, and I went ahead and ordered a new pump, and it's here today. So we're gonna unbox it and install it and hopefully not waste any more dinosaur bones on the ground. And other than that, this tractor's actually been pretty good so far. You saw me Ted hay with it already. I've done some bush hogging and some disking with it off camera, but it's been a good runner, other than the fact that, well, I was doing some disking with it and it just randomly decided to shut off on me as if it ran out of fuel, but I knew that was crap because I just put a whole tank in it. And so I was able to crack some injector lines over here on the pump and was able to get it to fire back up after I bled some air out of it. So I'm assuming that the fact that this thing seems to be leaking out of all the gaskets between the bowl up here gasket and the gasket down here. I'm assuming that's how air got into the system. That's my guess, because I mean it would run fine for like hours on end and then just randomly shut off. I don't think it's a fuel filter issue, even though I'm probably gonna end up changing them anyway, because new to me tractor, right? Change the fuel filters, I'm gonna change the oil. I'm probably gonna do that today too. But anyway, that's what we're up to, so let's get this new fuel pump out and get it on there. So I got this pump off Amazon. I think it was like 30 bucks or something like that. Not too bad. It was cheap enough that I was willing to just say, well, I'm just gonna replace the whole thing, that way I know it's good, instead of continuing to try to dingle ball the old one back together. See, we got a lovely gasket there for where it mounts to the side of the block. And then, here she be. All nice and shiny new parts, right? Exciting stuff, huh? Well, hopefully it's actually good and not made out of Chinesium, but yep, let's get this thing on here and hopefully all my headaches go away for at least a little while. So I'm going to start by cracking the fuel line where it comes down into the pump from the tank side. And I hate doing this one because it's in a really annoying location with all these lines for the power steering, because you can't really get much of a swing with the wrench each turn, but I think I can mostly thread it out by hand here, which is nice. I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but I got a bucket down here and a towel to hopefully not make too much of a mess. And there the fuel comes out. Perfect. Mostly in the bucket. Mostly. And for those wondering, no, I'm not just gonna sit here and drain an entire tank of fuel into a bucket. The tank was already almost empty from, I didn't put very much fuel in it the last time I was dicking around with this thing. Just enough to test it out, so there was hardly anything in the tank. So, it'll be done soon. Alright, that thing's basically done dripping. I went ahead and disconnected the fuel line coming out the other end of it, and now we just have a bolt on this side of it and one over here on the other side that we got to take out, and then this old one will be off. Ta-da! Alright, so I just spent way too much time in here with the scraper getting the old gasket off of there, but I'm calling that good enough. It's like 99.9% clean. So, and voila, movie magic. And this is exactly why I am not a huge fan of making these, mechanical fix-it type videos, is because they always take longer than they should have. I know I just skipped a whole bunch of steps there and didn't film some stuff, but putting that back on took way longer than it should have for a multitude of reasons, and one of them was actually I had to take all these screws out and turn this whole top assembly a little bit, because for some reason when they sent it to me, they had it turned so that these, the places where the fuel lines thread into it were, turned at an angle, so I couldn't actually hook the fuel lines up to them. So that was fun. And then there were a couple other things that ended up fighting me, like trying to get it actually, back all the way against the block here so that I could tighten the bolts and tighten it up against the gasket. I might be able to show you on this one. The little arm here that gets pushed in to actually pump fuel, to get it up against the block, you basically have to have it pre-pushed in, or else it'll catch and then hold from going all the way up against the block. And well, I didn't know that, so I was trying to install it the first time around, and the bolts were tightening up against the flange here prematurely before it was even anywhere near being up against the block. And I was like, well, what's going on here? So I pulled them back out and cleaned up the bolts and tapped the holes and put some grease on the tap so the metal shavings, if there were any, didn't go down in the block. But yeah, everything was fine. It tapped fine. It didn't create any metal shavings. The bolts looked okay. The nuts went on them fine. And then it still wouldn't go on, and then I finally figured that out. But yeah, that's why I don't really make mechanical videos like this all that often, is because usually stuff never goes smoothly, and it's kind of hard to, you're already pissed off about that, and then also trying to maintain the patience of trying to record a good video at the same time. But the biggest thing is, I got this thing back on here, the fuel lines are on, it's ready to put some fuel in it and try it out, and, well, I'm gonna hope for the best. Try to give it a little bit of throttle. Seems about right. Well, we might be going the old starting fluid. Hate to do it, but might not have a choice here. Don't get too carried away with it. I don't know if that actually went in or not. Oh, wait a minute. I know what the problem is. Kill switch was off. Now she'll start it. Hopefully. You didn't see that. I never had this out. Okay. Now she'll start. Might not need so much throttle. That'll do it. Well, I don't see anything leaking yet. So it's a couple months later now. You can tell the weather looks a little bit different. And I'm out here today already to film what's probably going to be the next YouTube video after this. But I figured real quick I'd film this follow-up, since I didn't really have a good ending for this video until now. I'm about to edit it, so I'm filming this just to show you guys that this pump still seems to be sealed up nice and tight, no leaks. I've put some hours on it in the past couple months doing some random stuff, and it hasn't been leaking. The only place it still does leak is over here on the injection pump, but I'm not too worried about that. It only leaks when it's running, and well, I'm not that interested in pulling the pump off this thing unless I have to. So I just figured I'd mention that real quick and show you guys the two brown beauties here parked in the snow. And yep, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Later, guys.